Hey, I hope this finds you doing well. Today, I wanted just to take a few minutes and talk to you about some things from a story found in the book of Numbers in chapter number 21. There's so much that we can learn from the Old Testament. And I think maybe one of the most important things as we look at the life of Israel and how they journeyed is that we need to know God's heart for us in this journey as his children. The nation of Israel had been delivered from the land of Egypt, from the place of slavery and horrible bondage and just no opportunity to move ahead. And God calls Moses and his brother Aaron, and they confront the Pharaoh, and through a great and mighty hand that God shows them his powerful deliverance. But as you go through these passages, you see how easily it was for them to forget God's heart for them. So let me read to you from verse 5 through 9. He says, the people spoke against God and against Moses. Why have you brought us up out of Egypt to die in the wilderness? For there is no food and no water, and we loathe this worthless bread. Then the Lord sent fiery serpents among the people, and they bit the people, so that many people of Israel died. And the people came to Moses and said, "We have sinned, for we have spoken against the Lord and against you. Pray to the Lord that he take away the serpents from us." So Moses prayed for the people. And the Lord said to Moses, "Make a fiery serpent and set it on a pole, and everyone who is bitten when he sees it shall live." So Moses made a bronze serpent and set it on a pole. And if a serpent bit anyone, he would look at the bronze serpent and live. Well, so many little things that we could look at, but amazingly, the people of Israel, in their stubbornness, they really don't ever quite get it fully. And you read later in the scripture, and this very instrument of deliverance, they begin to worship it as an idol. So they've been delivered, they've been set free, they've seen incredible, miraculous deliverance by God. But what they discovered, and what you and I discover as Christians, is that the journey is never without challenges. And so it says they spoke against God and Moses. And then they say, "Why have you brought us out of Egypt to die in the wilderness?" Now, did they really believe that? Had they so forgotten the heart of God for them? The hand of God in delivering? Did he really take them out of bondage and slavery and certain death just to kill them in the wilderness? But they had forgotten. They're questioning the goodness of God, and they'd forgotten that he had delivered them, not to kill them, but they had lessons to learn as they journeyed in the wilderness that they could only learn in the wilderness. Reminds me of that story where Jesus is with his disciples and they have just completed some intense ministry. He takes them to a boat and he said, "Let's go to the other side." And they got in the boat and they set out for the other side, and Jesus goes down into the boat and falls asleep. And before long, a storm comes up, and the storm was mighty, and they tried everything in their power to deal with the storms, and the waves are coming into the ship. And finally, in utter despair, they came to the Lord, and in the King James, what I memorized it in, he says, carest thou not that we perish? Well, I think in all of our journeys through life that all of us have been at that place. We're saying, Lord, why is this happening? What's going on here? Why don't you care? Why am I having all of this trouble? And Jesus rebuked the storm. He says, oh, you of little faith. And then he says to the storm, be still. Listen, the wilderness journey, the storms don't come to destroy us, but to show us the insufficiency of self-sufficiency, to point us again to the one who is our source. They actually had the nerve, They said, we loathe this worthless bread. Think about that. This is manna come from heaven. That word manna, like, what is it? But it was these small little wafers, and they ate it, and it sustained them through the whole journey. And then all of a sudden, they're at the place where they're loathing, the scripture said. They're despising the provision of God. And I thought, isn't that sometimes what we do? That we forget to enjoy the provision of God, and we just start to think, Lord, I need, I want, and we seek more. We want more. Verse 6 and 7, he said, that the Lord sent fiery serpents among the people, and they bit the people, so that many a people of Israel died. And the people come to Moses and said, we have sinned, for we have spoken against the Lord and against God. So the purpose of the serpents was simply to reveal their sinful attitudes. And they come and they acknowledge it, and they say, pray the Lord that he takes away the serpents from us. And as I was reading that, I thought, that's me. I'm always praying, Lord, take away these serpents. Lord, take away these circumstances. Lord, take away this storm that I'm going through. But I want you to look real carefully what God does here. In verse 8 and 9, it says, and the Lord said to Moses, make a fiery serpent and set it on a pole, and everyone who is bitten, when he sees it, shall live. So Moses made a bronze serpent and set it on a pole, and if a serpent bit anyone, he would look at the bronze serpent and live. You see, he doesn't take away the serpent, but he does provide healing that you and I may live. Jesus was lifted up on that pole, on that cross, and he says, look and live. Jesus does not promise you and I a life without storms, a life without serpents. He promises to go through the storms with us. Jesus had told the disciples, oh, ye of little faith. And you think, well, why would he say that? Well, when Jesus gets in the boat with you and he says, let's go to the other side, all we need is faith to know that when Jesus says, hey, we're going to the other side, the storm's inconsequential because he is with us in the storm. Well, I hope this is going to be an encouragement to you throughout the week because, listen, the storms are going to come. Serpents are going to bite. But look to him and live. And I hope this, as it encourages you, God will give you someone that you can send it on to and forward it to and look on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube and share it. Make sure you're subscribed so that you get all of these updates. I love you. Have a great week.